The moment in my life where I felt like I couldn't believe God was taking me through this was when I lost both my parents within 3 months of each other. I kind of removed myself from people. I was spiraling out of control. I was angry. I felt alone. I felt sad. I felt hurt. I felt God had forgotten about me and didn't understand why he would leave me alone. The moment I felt like it was enough was I was awakened out of my sleep. And it was like a shaking, like you're better than this. And so I got up, I started journaling again, I started reading my word again, and I started trusting God again. And it led me to go to counseling. And through those counseling sessions, I learned that I wasn't in this alone, that God is always with me and he never forgot about me. I mean, I know that the Holy Spirit is with me and within me. And so I just reach for that every single day, more and more. And I know that without that, I don't know where I would be.
When I arrived to Grove in 2008, I was a very broken woman. I was going through a divorce at the time. I was a single mother all of a sudden of 3 little boys, and just truly trying to understand how my life turned out this way. I was sexually violated when I was a teenager, but I did not talk about it. I did not report it. And my philosophy was if I just tucked it away, that it would go away. Unfortunately, what I did not realize is that that particular trauma took on a life of its own by influencing my decisions, showed up in my relationships. So although I did not talk about it and did not want to acknowledge it, there was a brokenness in me that I had not dealt with. There came a point where I knew that if I continued on in the relationship I was in and the path that I was on, that I was literally going to die in it. And I had to make a decision. Okay, Wendy, you are going to die here, or you're going to find the courage to do something different. In my toxic, dysfunctional, death-like existence, there was financial security. And I had to decide, you know, what was I going to hold on to the illusion of fulfillment and success? Or was I going to discover who God had truly and authentically created me to be? But I was dying. And so I had a choice to make. It was my surrender that was the turning point, you know. Had I not been willing to go through sanctification, consecration, I wouldn't be sitting here. I would still be running around in circles, having never dealt with what I needed to deal with in order to be who God has truly created me to be.
The lowest moment where I felt like God was taking me to a new place, when I failed my suicide attempt. Feeling alone, feeling defeated, feeling like a failure, feeling like my life as the roller coaster, that it probably wasn't going to stop. It was just going to keep going over and over and around in circles. And I just really wanted to get off. Life was doing what life does, but I wasn't in the capacity to handle it, so I believed. And I thought that not being here anymore would be the best answer. But because what I attempted didn't work, I realized that in that moment that God had more for me. Over these last 22 years of my life, man, this is where it gets emotional for me. You know, coming into ministry, being used in ministry, accomplishing some of the things that I've accomplished, it just makes me very grateful. And that's why I get very emotional about it, because I realized it didn't have to be. I realized that this day that I have right now doesn't have to be. And so my hope is to empower people to step beyond their circumstances and step beyond their situations, and they just hold on one more day, one more hour, one more week, one more month, one more year, that somehow God will use it and it'll all make sense.
I believe the moment I felt like I was at my lowest was when I was 11 years old. I'm raised by my father, and my father went blind. It put me on a road to idolizing an uncle who was a drug dealer, and at that point, I started committing a lot of crimes and was sent to prison, so I didn't even understand what that transition looked like or what was happening at that moment. While I was incarcerated, my grandmother, she's been a monumental person in my life forever. And 2013, she passed away. And she was always my strength and my backbone. And it was like, how do I make it through this? And at that moment, it took me back to a Bible verse that she always used to say, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So that was the moment that I started saying, I gotta pour my strength from somewhere, because I didn't have nobody physically that I could pour strength from. I know now that everything God took me through, He took me through it to be able to do what I do today, and that's empower youth and give back to my community from a lived experience lens as well as an academia lens, to be able to be that example for those people, to be that Paul that was once Saul, the person who went down that road and did the things that weren't right with not understanding. So now I'm just a walking, living testimony to what God can do, what God can bring you from, and if you continue to have faith in Him and continue to follow His path, that anything is possible.
It was 1 o'clock in the morning when the knock came on the door. And it was the loudest noise until I run downstairs to hear my husband screaming our daughter's name. And it is a sound that still pierces in my memory. To hear him shattered at the news that Naya wasn't coming home. And it was in that moment that our lives were completely turned upside down.
You know, it'd be moments, little moments that come unexpected, you know, that brings the pain back. But the only thing that can run that pain off is prayer, giving it to God. And that was the one thing I took pride in, because I raised 3 girls. When we lay down, I taught them the Lord's Prayer. Early. I just need, that was the comfort to it all every night. I just say the prayer. Yeah. Somehow the strength come out of it. That's why I know he's all good.
I remember shortly after it happened, Toronto asked me if I thought that God knew this was going to happen, or God wanted us to experience this. And I remember the message that Pastor preached a few Sundays before it happened that talked about how David had to fight bears and he had to fight the lion. And when he came up against Goliath, he reminded himself of those battles that he had fought and won with God. And we have overcome many things in our marriage. We have battled bears and lions. And this Goliath, we will have to battle and win as well. With the strength of God is the only way that we can. And we both came together and had a conversation about wanting to run the other way. But we knew that we have fought together alongside God and won, and knew that we have to continue to move forward together in God and get through this together. And we just continue to press forward with the lives and the time that we have left, and not take that for granted.
It's still a struggle, but there's a promise that it's gonna be okay.